Man, yes, I speak with an accent because English is not my first language. I very much hope that the meaning was understood. My videos will change your life. Trust me. Subscribe to the channel so you never lose it. You're lucky to be here. This video has a very boring title and cover, but the content will be precious. I want each of you to take 20 minutes out of your busy schedule to watch it from start to finish. It will save many lives. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm sure you even want to share it with your best friend. Situation. The girl they often offended creates conflict, and how do we beat the situation to our advantage? I will give a concrete solution, and what is really behind these conflicts. I would like to start with the fact that the starting point for me to study the topic of relationships in the age of 16 years. That's when I had a simple observation that relationships can be divided into two categories. In one relationship, quarrels are within some norms. They happen often or rarely, but they are there. And in other relationships, they don't happen at all. I decided to check this out, but my experience wasn't enough. I looked at my circle of friends and acquaintances, talked to many, and came to the conclusion that it worked on all people. Then I wondered about something else. It's commonly believed that individual incompatibility leads to conflict. After all, often a girl tells you exactly that she didn't have such problems with other men in other relationships, that you have a distorted perception of reality and the problem is in you. I assumed at the time that this probably really happens. Started looking into that issue as well. And at the time I was absorbing all the information I could find. I read hundreds of stories on forums. I had already started to talk to the girls on a daily basis to find out the details and get honest answers. Again, I came to the realization that if a woman has conflicts and quarrels with one type of man in one relationship, it is the same with another. This would seem to be the end of the video, but we are just getting to the most interesting part. Why? Even with the information, has no one run to end a relationship in which these conflicts exist? We realized that there are only three scenarios. 1. Conflicts begin immediately. Let's say you are together for 3 weeks and that's it. The conflicts go. The second scenario. In love mode, everything is smooth and good, calm. But as soon as your interest in you goes down, conflicts start to arise all the time. And the first scenario, when there is not conflict at all. Why wouldn't this be an argument for men to get rid of a bad relationship? It's all about the fact that most of us are only able to appreciate peace, tranquility, and comfort when the occasional battle occurs. That is, most men need a woman to create tension so that they can then exhale, wipe the sweat from their forehead and say, "It's so good to have her around, to have us make up." And men only begin to give her value, and supposedly give value to a quiet relationship. That is, if you ask a man, "Tell me straight up, what do you really want?" He'll say, "I just want a quiet relationship." But if we give him another option and say, "Listen, with this woman you won't have a relationship with calm, let's go with a decent and good girl," he'll answer that no, he wants a relationship with that girl. And the thing is, he only wants a quiet relationship because he doesn't have one. That's the system. For this reason, men are only able to be grateful from the get-go, and the only thing waiting for him in his personal life is to meet a woman who will cause problems. The end. Moving on. Often a man will choose a troubled relationship as his own source of motivation and energy. And it's possible, it really works. It's that state where you have even fair hours to get enough sleep. You wake up and you have lots of energy. You are motivated to develop, achieve something, do something with your life. You feel great, you are in a good mood. Men use these emotions, these feelings for the purpose of self-development, and it works. But a man makes the mistake of thinking that this is a marathon, but it's only a sprint, after which he will fall down and choke from lack of oxygen. I mean, there will be a certain amount of stimulation. But a troubled woman gives you energy, yeah, and she always takes a little more. Always. A relationship with her is like a loan, the interest on which only goes up. After 6 months, a year, or a few years, a man can really achieve significant results in life, but only at the expense of his own life reserves. Once they run out, the dependence on the woman only increases and the man breaks down. That is in the final, I want to emphasize, the final of the story. He can no longer stimulate himself at her expense. This is the first thing. Second, he has no resource to rebuild himself. And third, the woman leaves him because he is weak, and that is how she begins to treat him, because he can no longer and is not able to offer the necessary resistance. She leaves him, she loses interest in him, and the man is left broke. And at this point, many of those who didn't need what I warned them about in advance could have lost their entire business. The process of immersion in love addiction looks like this. When you had your first fight, you experienced a certain level of discomfort, pain, but you made up, and it's a certain high, pleasure. Everything is good. You are together. And every new conflict is an increase in the stakes. You experience even more pain, but also even more high dopamine. Man, think about it. And after a few months, or even more so a few years, we get into a situation where whatever she has done, however she has discredited herself, cheated, left for someone else, flirted, danced with someone else, and so on, you are bound to forgive her. Why? Because as soon as the risk of loss appears, as soon as you have quarreled and do not communicate, there are terrible withdrawals. And even if you have gathered all your strength, collected your courage, you say to yourself, that's it, after this is the end. Then after a day, a week, or maybe a few weeks, you start to think that's still a dear one. How not to forgive? Of course, forgive. And at this point we realize that we have lost the boy. In this position, the man is immune to any advice and recommendations. The only thing waiting for him is to hit rock bottom. The woman will definitely leave him, and then he will fight for his existence, for his life. If a lot of people are wondering, how long can a relationship like this last? Here it all depends on your fortitude, how long you are able to resist and your vision of reality to defend. But it's only a matter of time, because you have already given up. You have not come out of this relationship, and it will also depend on objective significance, of course. Now I want to give one piece of advice, and the very solution I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Tip: it's important to test yourself on sincerity. Right now to remember. And which woman did you give the most attention to, gave the most gifts, and so on? If it suddenly turns out that this was the woman who created the most problems, and you tried more for her, then you are also at risk. Many of you probably thought I was describing some absolutely terrifying events. That's how I am describing the ending, and most of you just haven't gotten to it. For this reason, I suggest that the rosy fantasies that you have anyway, that your case is unique, special, that it won't be the same, be removed. What I'm suggesting is this: don't fight it, give her what she wants, but raise the bar of demands. It gets better in the beginning, and then the contract reasons for conflict arise again. Check it out for yourself. You've already given everything. What more does she need? And at this point, you have to realize the futility of the relationship. You need to find the right moment to put a period. In the future, I will make a very important video for you that will change your life by 180 degrees. You will become wiser and find the opportunity to build a quality good relationship. Subscribe to me so you will never lose this channel. You got it for a reason. Trust me.